Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining us today is Astha Dixit.
Hello.
All the way from India.
Thank you so much.
So wonderful to have you with us.
Really wonderful to be here.
Okay, so right from the get-go, we are going to put you on a spot. In 90 seconds, tell us about your journey up to this point.
Wow. Shall I begin?
Sure. The timer is on.
Perfect. So it all started in, I was born in Delhi.
Okay.
And somehow I feel that these initial few years really, even though it was just 8 years I was in Delhi, really developed me because it exposed me to something about the air of India, the culture, the music,
The air of Delhi, really?
Air of Delhi, which kind of, was somewhere in me. That remembrances was always in me, Yeah. At the age of 8, we moved to Los Angeles, California. I grew up my entire formidable years in the US, in LA. All the way through my college. I went to UCLA.
Nice.
I studied computer science in UCLA. And I was very interestingly valedictorian and the top of my class, top of my game. I worked for 2 years as a consultant at Deloitte. And 2 years after that, I remembered my deep childhood passion, which had never left me as I was learning dance throughout my childhood years. And that voice was so strong in me that I just made a complete turnaround in my life. I left my job, took a leave of absence initially, and then decided to just walk away and just walk forward into my dream of being a dancer. A few years later, that found me back into my home country, India. I moved from LA at the age of 25 back to India.
Wow.
And to pursue dance professionally, and that's where I am now.
That is amazing.
Yes.
Wow, just giving it all up and braving the pollution in India. Wow, that must have
Don't remind me of the pollution.
Well, then he made you strong, right?
Yeah. When we dance, then we kind of say to ourselves, we transcend all the pollution and the environment. We are in the mountains somewhere when we dance, so we can't feel anything.
Amazing. So you travel a lot.
I travel a lot,
for work. What's your favorite city?
Oh, my favorite city. Very difficult to say my favorite.
Not Delhi, not Los Angeles.
Although I love LA. I recently went to Beijing last year. I performed with the Royal Opera House there. I loved the city, Beijing. Very beautiful. Other than that, my favorites are Barcelona.
Nice.
Spain.
Good choice.
I have somewhere in me, I learned Spanish in LA growing up, so I have somewhere in me that Spanish feeling inside me.
Yeah, and if people don't know better, we could be Hispanic.
Yeah, exactly, we could be. So I love Barcelona. I also love Florence.
Nice.
Yeah, these are all artistic cities, very artistic cities.
Artsy.
Yeah,
nice.
Okay, calls to me,
So as a dancer, who's your favorite dancer?
Ooh. Of course, in Kathak, there's none other than our living legend maestro, Pandit Birju Maharaji. He's very dear to me. I know him personally also. It's just something about him. When he dances, the universe speaks through him, I mean, nature kind of comes through him. It's very beautiful to see, actually.
Right.
So Maharaji is very dear to me. But from my childhood, I grew up watching Madhuri Dixit on screen.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal.
So I really I think she inspired me a lot to choose my career path and my life as it is. So
I think
I chose
that whole generation was transformed by her.
Yeah. The grace, the nazakat,
Incomparable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you're an artist, you're a choreographer, you're a dancer, you're a performer. How do you define Astha? Who are you?
Astha is a very passionate person.
What does that mean, by the way?
Astha means spiritual faith. There's a very famous channel in India called the Astha channel. It's like a bhakti channel. So Astha means literally, it's a Sanskrit word which means divine faith, divine belief, in God. So it's something that has been very close to me throughout my life, in my work, in dance and all. So Astha, I think in general, is somebody who lives with passion. That's what I am. I live with passion, not just in dance, but on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis. You know, life is to me, life is art, you know. So like is a dance.
Yeah.
So every moment is meant to be lived creatively with
Beautiful.
beauty, you know. I think that would.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's talk about as you're talking about passion and this whole journey, right? It's so transformative. I kind of made the reverse journey coming from Bombay to LA. But going from LA back to India, to pursue something that you don't even know is going to become your career or not. Tell me about that thought process.
The thought process began, actually, I was struggling. I was in LA working, you know, at the consulting field.
Right. The Monday to Thursday life.
The Monday to Thursday life, but I was working like, I mean, more than Monday to Thursday, exactly.
14-hour days.
Exactly, 60, 70-hour weeks, you know, doing the grind. And somewhere a deep questioning started within myself, like my second year of my job, and the deep questioning started within myself, and I started to ask like all these strange questions, like what is the meaning of life? What am I here for? You know? So I took some time off. I took a leave of absence from my job. And in those like about 2 months, I did a lot of introspection. I read a lot of books and would sit there and think for hours and hours. And although I don't know I think somewhere that confused me even more, but the end of it, only one thing came out. And it was like, if I'm here today and I'm alive and I exist here, you know, today, it is only for one thing, and that's for dance. And that is the only thing that can make my life worth living. And somewhere I knew also that, I mean, I have I can get bored very easily. So somewhere I also
had ADD or something like that. Sorry.
I don't know what you call, but I need to be kept excited. You know, like I'm so passionate that my like desire for excitement and you know, and drive in life is so high. You know, so somewhere I just knew that this is the one thing that I cannot get bored of. You know, dance.
So we have a question from our audience. Was there an external inspiration or a person that pushed you to move towards your passion, which is dance? You know, taking you from the desk to the dance floor.
Lovely
was
question.
it just you, or was it some other external influence?
Oh, so beautiful question. Actually, at that time, the decision came from purely within myself. There was nobody. I was in LA. I had no role models. Actually, I was not exposed to the world of India, world of artists yet. You know, I mean, of course, what I seen. I was exposed more to the movies, the films. You know. So it was more from within myself, and that's why I think I had to go through this deep questioning and introspection and take some time off from work, you know, because that questioning led me to the answer from within myself, you know. And another very interesting thing is I read a book by Andrew Carnegie. It was written by Andrew Carnegie, and his words rang so deep in me, and it said, if you go to a new direction in your life, burn all your bridges and walk forward. Okay, don't leave any back doors open. If you leave the back doors open, you will never make it. You will never make it. Literally, that caused such a shift in me, and something happened that night. Went to sleep that night. Next morning I woke up and I was like, whether I'm on the streets or however it is, I had no path made in front of me. I had no role models who had done anything like this that I knew of, you know, at the time. So I was just like, you know, I don't know how I'm going to make it, but I am going to make it in dance, you know. How involved and
supportive or lack thereof were your parents through this?
My parents were quite supportive, I have to say. My father is a very creative person. He has a deep artist in himself. He's a creative writer. Now he's retired and he's singing full time.
Wow.
Yeah, he's singing and taking up all his passions. But he was in finance his whole life. So somewhere he knew that he probably didn't follow his passion from inside. And my father said, "Beta, you know, I didn't do it, but you go for it." So my parents said, they said, "Go for it." I don't know if they even knew at the time that it was going to end up becoming a career. They might have just thought that, you know, let her try it out at least. But they definitely didn't hold me back, and they allowed me to pursue it. So that's
really nice.
Yes.
And not very typical of Indian parents.
Yes,
I would say.
yes. I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for that.
So as you made these choices, right? Obviously, you know, burning the bridges and moving along. Any challenges or controversial things that kind of came up, things that you would want to share with others that might help them make some tough decisions?
Of course, it's there's a lot of stigma also in society, and people believe so many things, and of course, like it's a very unstable, in a way, a scary decision to make. But see, I have to say that if you, in a way, it's for this kind of a path. I don't want to sound like too crazy, but it's for the people who are fully there, like it's for the mad in a way. You have to be a little mad,
a little crazy,
crazy, like you cannot save yourself. Like if you have this and that in you, if you also want to do this and that, it won't work.
You're not committed.
Yeah.
Focused.
So I was for dance like 2000%. I was like, this is like, and so when I moved back to India, I just dove into dance like no other. I lived with my gurus. I was just at their feet. Like I was doing my riyas 5 hours a day, and I was just in that and nothing else. In fact, I cut out almost everything else in my life for a few years just to absorb it, because I knew I had to make up for a lot of lost time. I wasn't in it from childhood like in the US, so I had to make up for a lot of lost time. So I just soaked
fully
in as much as I could. I was just there and nowhere else, and my gurus know that, the ones that trained me and the people in the Kathak field know that I really dove into it when I moved back to India,
Were there times when you questioned, did I make the right choice?
No.
I've
never looked back. I never looked back at my profession. Yeah. Sometimes I miss the perks, of course, of being like, a consultant or whatever, like all the perks of this, that. But very briefly, I just came and went, But I just felt I never missed it, really. Like I never looked back.
That's awesome.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
So as you
just
chose
forward.
Kathak as your career, as your career choice, you chose to become an entrepreneur, right? You're pretty much on your own. Did that scare you? I mean, there is something about passion, but then there's the other aspect of now have to make a living out of this, and maybe help others make a living. So what was that thought process like?
So it was definitely really scary. I had a time. So when I left my job at Deloitte, I started initially by starting a dance company in LA.
Wow.
So I stayed back here because I didn't have any, I didn't even think of India at the time, it wasn't even a thought to me. So I started a dance company here. I ran that dance company for 3 years. It was in together with my best friends and also some other dear friends. Together we all had this common interest between us. And there came a point after like a few years where I started financially struggling because I was not making money, obviously, off this thing. And I had no really, it was a grassroots thing, but I had no solid plan on how I was going to do it. It was just a lot of faith, a lot of astha, So I went through a struggle. I went through some very tough times. And you won't believe the shift actually happened when I shared with you the story about after I read the Andrew Carnegie, that quote. It was literally the next morning after I thought this, I suddenly got an offer from India, and that was to act in a film. And it was initially they were offering me other roles, but then finally, after me saying no consistently, they offered me a role as a dancer in the film. And it was paying really good money, and I was struggling financially, and I was like, why would I say no to this, So that's what led me to actually change my whole everything and pack up in LA everything and move off to India, So that was a catalyst to me shifting from LA to there,
So what was the name of your dance company, and what was this movie?
Name of my dance company was Tal.
Tal,
yes.
Was this before the movie or after?
This is before.
Okay. So you beat them to it.
This is in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. And all of my dear friends from the company are still around here in LA. We all still get together and reminisce about those days. We danced at some really nice industry events in LA. And we danced on a big commercial for Christina Aguilera, with Christina Aguilera, Pepsi commercial. So we had some nice gigs we gathered along the way, So yeah, those memories are there. And so when I went back to India, then my career just started supporting me, and things just started happening, you know, like whether it was, you know, like I would get offer for films, or I would get projects were coming in, like, you know, after I spent a few years in Kathak deeply, things just started opening up, you know, so yeah.
Nice. Was it an easy switch going from the culture here to the work culture in India?
It was like polar opposites, totally polar opposites. So, but I loved it. It was such a beautiful change for me, you know,
Nice.
like after going from a very systematic way of living life, just going into this
crazy,
like jumping into like
right.
an ocean, and not knowing the way that artists work in India. Like I just was there, but I was just very open. I was like a child, you know, and I really wanted to understand this way of living, you know. And I think I just went with that openness, you know, that innocence, openness in me, and that's what made me to enjoy it so much.
So you were accepting, but also it allowed you to...
Yeah.
So your Kathak work has mostly been around, you know, Sufisms and poetry and love, a lot of passion. How, I mean, you could have gone many different ways, right? How did you end up in this direction?
I was at a beautiful Osho center in Delhi. And it was Osho's voice that actually caused this transformation in me. He read a beautiful poetry, like he was talking about the Sufi saints and mystics in one of his talks. And he read a beautiful poetry. It's called Shame Firaq, Ab na pooch, aayi aur aake tal gayi. Dil tha ke fir behel gaya, jaan thi ke fir sanbhal gayi.
Wow.
So I heard this poetry, and I don't know from where, tears started coming down my cheeks. And I saw myself literally from that point on. It was like as if I saw myself dancing to these poetries, and that was my purpose in life. It came to me like that. And after that, everything started opening up, and I started meeting the people that I worked with in the next 5 or 6 years at least. People like Muzaffar Ali Sahab, and many others in the field who are, you know, like all connoisseurs of Sufi poetries or mysticism or whatever. And they started inviting me to perform in their shows. Nice. So that's how the transformation began, like that,
So, so tell us a bit more about these performances. You've performed on the same stage as, you know, the Abida Parveen, a huge name. Ustad, Shafqat Ali Khan.
Shafqat.
So give us a few more of these highlights.
Of course. So this is, of course, the Jahan-e-Khusro stage. As we know, one of the biggest World Sufi festivals in Delhi and Lucknow. At the Humayun's tomb it happens, curated by Muzaffar Ali Sahab. So I met Muzaffar ji, and he, you know, he immediately took to liking my style of dance. And next year, he gave me a set of poetries. I read these poetries, and he told me to choreograph or to create some dances on them, you know. So I was always like, I would kind of imagine myself in a certain way, in a certain mood, and I would dance, or these choreographies would come through me, you know. And some very special experiences I remember after Jaipur, Jahan-e-Khusro, I took a team of dancers with me. I took 2 whirling dervish and 2 of my Kathak dancers, and I did a combination between whirling and Kathak. I showed the 2 of them on the stage together.
Sounds amazing.
It was really that show touched everyone so much. After we got off the stage, all of us were in a big and tight embrace for over 1 hour crying. It was like that. So the kind of experiences I was having at that time were very mystical. We'd be crying after we got off stage, because we'd feel such a deep connection with the audience. I would sometimes feel that I was holding, very vividly I remember these experiences, I would feel like I was holding the heart of each person in my hand as I was dancing, you know, like it was like that.
Such a deep connection.
Very deep, very tender, emotion, So these were the experiences we were having. I was kind of just, you know, like spreading this as I was performing all over the place. So another experience I remember was the Dharwar Utsav, which was a big festival. Again, I did with my dear dancers in my group, and I took other people to whirl with me also, my friends. And it was 60,000 people.
Wow, that's an audience.
And I just remember looking out at the sea of people, and and just feeling that energy and that you know, that amazing feeling. So yes.
It's unparalleled.
So it's been really beautiful, you know. And some of the comments that I would get from people, like there would be, you know, people coming up to me and saying like, I feel like the ground like has just like shaken from beneath my feet, or I feel like I'm now in the heavens, like things like that, you know. I feel like the ground has shifted from below my feet, and they would just embrace me and hug me so tightly, and I would just be in like, you know, like what can I say? Like just like it's so amazing. So much love and energy was flowing through with the dance.
So, you know, as you go from these performances, how do you go about marketing yourself as a performer? Like, is this word of mouth? Is this the networks that kind of build in? What's the process like?
I think there's nothing more powerful in this world than word of mouth, you know. I think it's all been that actually. It's been people who've seen me perform and they've given my name to somebody else, recommended me to somebody else, you know, like because they care about me, care about my career. They've spread my name to someone else, and you know, more like that. I know that some things have also come through seeing, people have seen my videos on YouTube, you know. So YouTube has been a big thing, and so a lot of people have seen my work through that and become, you know, like fans or whatever, have kind of took to a liking to this kind of style of dance through that. So
nice. So we have another question from our audience. What is a dream project that you would like to work on in the future?
Oh, wow.
Is there a long list?
It's a beautiful question. So I've done a lot of ballets, you know, for stage. Like I've been endlessly doing ballets, but I love that whole arena. I love creating. You know, like one of the most beautiful projects I did with Muzaffar Saab was Indra Sabha, where we showed the basically the paris that danced in front of Lord Indradev in the heavens, you know. So I would say that was one of my dream projects, like what I did, you know. That was a dream to personify that on stage, you know. That was really beautiful. I would definitely love to show something like that on screen. Like I'm very inspired and very drawn towards, as I was also an actress before in the Telugu cinema.
Let's talk about that for a second. So when you say on screen, are you thinking the big screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the big screen.
Tell us a bit more about that. You've been an actress in full feature length films.
Yes, I have.
There is rumors that you're looking to get back into that. So tell us a bit more about that.
So I love the screen. I was very, you know, so when I moved to India, like back then, I was very natural. I was very like in love with the screen. Like I was very natural and expressive, you know, towards the screen. I was very much in love with the screen, and everyone told me that, you know, the way that you can emote in front of the screen or the expressions that come out, you know, like there's nothing like that, you know. It's very, very beautiful, very precious. So I've definitely wanted to bring now like my art and everything that I've achieved through dance back onto the screen. Like I want to do, you know, like a beautiful story or like, you know, something where I can really emote or show this, you know, my expressions on screen. So I'm definitely been, you know, pursuing it and like talking to people, and you know, like we'll see what is, you know.
Good luck with that.
It's all, you know, a mystery to see what is in the future to come, you know.
It'll all work out great.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself, you know, 2-3 years from now? More performances, a bit of a balance between
I think a bit of a balance between both. Definitely to do work for the screen, like for films, cinema, you know. And then also, of course, my dance, like my performances and productions and everything to continue.
Nice. It's a busy life. So, switching gears a bit, tell us how your Indian ethnicity has helped, you know, shape you and your decisions for good or bad, right? So, you're in a very India-centric, Indian cultural-centric field, but there are decisions that you probably make that are because of your Indianness. So, for good or bad, how has that influenced you?
I think, like, to me, I feel that it's the world, it's such a global world today, you know, and to have had this deep culture behind me, and having also, of course, having been touched by it from a very young age, it has always been such a strength, you know, and such a deep, like you could say, a global perspective it's given me on the world, you know. So growing up in LA and having the culture behind me, coming home and my parents listening to the Indian music, the ghazals at home, like everything, you know, like being touched by that all around me, always gave me this kind of global standpoint, you know. So today I feel like the entire world appreciates Indian music, cinema, dance. And everywhere I go, when I travel to the Middle East or I come to America or Europe, everywhere, everyone is like, you know, like, oh my God, Indian cinema, Indian music, like they love it, you know. So it really, in a way, it becomes a point of connection, you know, with people all around the world, you know. And I think that's the beauty, the exchange of cultures. You know, you appreciate that culture and they appreciate yours, you know. That exchange is so beautiful.
Yeah, the openness and the acceptance.
Yeah.
So it made you more accepting of different cultures and helped you imbibe that in your performance.
Absolutely. It made me all the more interested in all the cultures of the world, for sure. And I think that's the beauty, is that we can really dive into different cultures, you know, at different points and get the beauty or the depth out of that, you know. So the exchange of cultures really, really keeps me inspired, you know. Yeah.
So that's inspiration. Talking about motivation, what keeps you going? I mean, this is not easy work. Right? There is a lot of hard work involved with getting to where you are, where you're performing. So what keeps you inspired? What keeps you motivated?
Honestly, I think sometimes it's the people's love. Like, it's just the amazing love and response I get. Like, it's like, you know, even from students, like I'm doing a series of workshops now here in the US. I've been doing them for the last month, and the amazing love from other teachers, from students, from people from the different cities. Like, it's such a fulfilling feeling, you know, and like they are so eager and thirsty. Like, I remember I was to get the art form, you know, to learn the art form. So you just can't help but wake up in the morning and just feel so inspired to share, you know, to share and spread that beauty.
It's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing.
So, you know, flipping that and talking about you using a coach or a mentor.
Yeah.
Do you have some, and how did you find them?
I think my coaches or mentors have been my gurus. You know, like I learned in two different schools of Kathak, the Jaipur school and the Lucknow school. And I think my gurus there have been definitely my mentors, you know, especially the times when I was with them, during the times I was training. My guru, Malti Shamji, she was from the Lucknow Gharana, is one of the most beautiful icons of the Lucknow Gharana, you know. And so I think that they, at the time I was training with them, they mentored me, and I saw a lot of, you know, I imbibed a lot of what they stand for, you know, at least I tried, you know. So I think that's the thing. But other than that, I have had inspirations, you know, from like different personalities, this, that. But I think more in all, I would say my gurus have been my mentors, you know. Yeah.
So we have another question online. Why Kathak? Why not Odissi? Was it more you know, a spiritual choice or something else?
No, absolutely. Very good question. Actually, when I came back to India, very important thing to notice that I actually started training in both Kathak and Odissi. I was very drawn to Odissi also. I just find the dance form so beautiful, so elegant, so, you know, has this the different layers of beauty in it, you know. But it was just honestly that after I was training in both, you know, to even learn one classical dance form in one life is enough, you know. So you
more than enough.
So your body, your entire discipline, your mental, physical training should be it's a deep focus. So it should be geared towards eventually it's you know, one does have to pick one. So Kathak was my form since childhood. So since I was 3 and I was in Delhi, I got my first pair of ghungroos, and Master Ji used to come home and teach me Kathak. So Kathak was just my childhood form. It was the one that my family had chosen for me even before I had chosen, you know. So and it was very natural for me. My gurus all said that it looks very natural on you. So I stuck to that form, you know. Yeah.
Good choice.
But I'm inspired by all of the forms. They all are so beautiful, you know. True. Yeah.
What are you most excited about in life right now?
I'm excited to travel. Like, I'm so excited to be back in my old country, home country, US, after many years. I took a long gap after coming back this time. So it was a great reunion with all my friends and colleagues and peers to be back here after so many years. So I'm just so excited to be here. I'm excited to continue coming back here. Now we have a lot of projects cooking. Right. So I should be coming back sooner than later. And I'm excited to continue to travel in my work. I love travel. I've done the Middle East a lot. I've traveled to far and wide to many countries in the Middle East. I look forward to continue to do that. And also to, like I said, I have somewhere a deep love for Spain in me, Spanish in me. So I'm looking forward to doing something in Spain. Working with some dancers in Spain also.
That's awesome. We are so glad you're here. This was amazing. And we look forward to meeting you often back here in the US.
Absolutely.
Thank
really
you so
a
much,
pleasure,
Astha.
Nitin. Really a pleasure.
This was amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So happy to be here.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.